One of the topics of parenting that falls in the top 5 list of issues that parents ask me about at my workshops is getting kids to eat and getting them to eat healthy. Whether you have a picky eater, a pokey eater, or a junk food junkie, getting them to eat right is downright frustrating. To help shed some light on this topic, with me on the show today is Matia, a retail dietitian with Shop Rite grocery stores. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you.
So this is oftentimes a really frustrating topic for parents because, and the way I see it, parents are so tired and stressed today. They're trying to make ends meet, so they're running, a zillion miles an hour. And what happens is they don't take the time to think about how they can help their child eat healthy. And what I try to make them understand is a child eating healthy leads to positive discipline, because if the child's system is balanced and they eat well as well as getting enough exercise, enough rest, then it changes their behavior. So what do you think about that?
I think that I do agree with you, but I do think that parents take on extra responsibilities and they're trying to do too much and trying to force their children or to make sure that their children have all the foods, the correct foods and the right amounts is exhausting. So I think they need to remember that the responsibility is to provide the food for them, provide options and the healthier options. And then the pressure is almost off because it's the child's choice to decide what to eat, how much to eat of the choices provided, and even whether or not to eat at all. So it can take a lot of pressure off the parents to continuously, once they continuously provide those healthier choices for the children use their innate ability and they listen to their internal cues, whether they're hungry, whether they're full, whether they need more, that sort of a thing. So it's a balance between what the parents provide and what the children actually consume in the end.
So the salty or sugary foods, do you think parents are providing too much of that?
Do I think that they're providing too much of that? I think that there's a lot of that available in our society. There's a lot of convenience foods that oftentimes are higher in the calories and the fat, especially the saturated fat and the sodium. So when parents don't plan ahead, whether it's for snacks or meals, they can oftentimes fall into those traps. But there are healthier choices out there if they're educated to find them in the mix.
So what do you suggest to parents about healthy eating?
What do I suggest? I suggest that they have to continuously offer the healthier choices. So when I say healthier choices, I mean the fruits and the vegetables first and foremost, because they're naturally lower in calories, they're high in fiber, they provide an array of nutrients and vitamins and minerals, and they should take up half the children's plate. So it's something to strive for. It doesn't always happen, but if you provide a rainbow of color of options in the fruits and veggies, to the kids, they can't go wrong. So that's just half the plate. On the other half of the plate, you have your whole grains and you have your meats and your proteins. So if you continually go back to what was the food guide pyramid and is now the My Plate method, that's changed now. We've seen it on the news. So parents now can have a visual of what our plates should look like. So we want to provide options for those sections of the plate. Again, half the plate being produce, the fruits and veggies, all kinds count, the frozen, the canned, the dried, and then the other side, another half, a quarter of the plate being the lean protein, and a quarter of the plate being the high fiber whole grain or the whole starches.
What is your suggestion on serving size? Because what I found is oftentimes the child isn't hungry when they sit down at the mealtime, especially if they've been snacking. Parents who sometimes give them a snack to quiet them down so the parent can concentrate on making dinner. What I've found is sometimes parents' serving size is not adequate for a child. And what I tell parents that you be careful. It's better to give her 3 peas rather than 30 peas because she can always ask for more. But sometimes if the child isn't hungry, and the parent sets up the serving, it's almost like the child feels like you said, go explore space. Because it's like, oh, it seems like I cannot eat this. What do you think about that?
I do agree with you. And there's a woman out there, an author who's a pioneer in this field, the psychology behind it and the nutrition behind it, Ellen Satter. She's a great resource. She recommends providing maybe a little bit less than you would expect them to consume because they they can feel as though they accomplish something when they do consume that, and then they can decide if they want to add to that and have some more, that sort of a thing.
So as a dietitian, then, the question I want to ask you is, the parents are afraid that, let's say the child doesn't want to eat the broccoli, and that was what's served, and the parents feel, oh my gosh, if she doesn't eat this broccoli, then she's not going to get a balanced meal, and then they try to become more forceful to get the child to eat it, or they use trickery or bribery or different things to get them to eat it, so that the parent feels satisfied or confident the child's getting a balanced meal.
Right. And there can be a lot of issues with that. First of all, you want to make sure that the mealtime is pleasant and it's relaxed. You certainly don't want it to be a power struggle where you're forcing foods on the child. It's not going to help anybody's cause, and it's just going to make mealtime much more stressful than it needs to be. So really the trick is to offer it, continue to offer it, offer the different foods in different forms, meaning it's prepared differently. So cooked, or boiled, steamed, raw. Children will seem to gravitate towards things in different ways. So you want to make sure that the parent continually does that. But children, they have growth spurts. They eat more, they eat less, their appetite changes day to day according to their mood and many other factors. So they might eat more or less one day than the other, but it all tends to balance out in the end. Over the course of the week, over the course of the month, they tend to eat what they need.
So parents have some services available to them for free.
They do.
And what do they have?
In my situation, I'm a retail dietitian, so my office is set up in a grocery store. I'm with Shop Rite. So we have over 200 stores, and we have about 35 dietitians right now. So we provide our services for free, and that's both in-store for one-on-one consultations or with families, store tours, and then out-of-store community service and community outreach. So I could go to schools, I could go to Head Starts, libraries, senior centers, the list goes on and on.
So a parent can come to you, a school can come to you and for help.
Absolutely.
I don't think people even realize that how important that is,
Right.
and they don't know that that service exists. That, I mean, we commonly know, well, we know the grocery store, I'm going to go shop, but there's more that you can get by going there.
There's many more resources, and we're trying to get the word out. It's a new trend that's growing, absolutely, in our community, so we'll see more and more of that available to customers.
Any tips on picky eaters when it comes to picky eaters, especially if they don't like the lima beans or the broccoli or whatever? What do you suggest on that?
I would say to stick with it. Again, it takes at least 10 to 12 times to offer those foods to children or even adults before they can truly decide to accept them or reject them. So keep offering them in different forms, offer different dips for certain things, especially carrot sticks, celery sticks. You see that a lot. So there's different ways to make it more appealing to the children. But continue to offer, try not to be a short order cook, try to have the children eat what the adults do once they're at that age, and sooner or later they'll come around.
Excellent. Well, that's very good tips. Thank you so much for offering that. I'm Michelle Matia from Shop Rite Stores, and now you know you can go to your local Shop Rite anyway and ask for some help on services.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Eating and food can create everyday challenges with children in general. But what about children who are diagnosed with ADHD? There have been rumors that some food additives might be responsible for the growing number of children who have ADHD. Coming up after the break, we're going to meet two authors who wrote an amazing book on this disorder, who will help us understand more about ADHD and what parents and teachers can do about it. Stay with me. We'll be right back.